I've listened to so much crap in the last 2 weeks.
Hey, buddy.
You know, you hear all that crap, but I understood that that crap was going to come with the territory.
Hey, buddy.
But I'll live with the crap.
Buddy.
And I feel very good.
He's a disgruntled Scottish guard known for his lethal temper and his unusual eating habits. He weighs a metric ton. His name, Fat Bastard.
One of the things, Mike, that's been pointed out over the course of today and last night after the game is that you seemed resigned to the fight after the game, that there wasn't much fire in you, and you sort of stood up before the media and said, well, you know, this is the way it is. Are you resigned to this fate?
Well, you're the same guy that wrote about me when I did have the fire, that was the wrong thing to do. So who you crapping?
Well, I'm just asking.
Don't crap me now. No.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
And Who Ya Crappin is brought to you by Windy City Limousine, the official limousine of the Chicago White Sox, and you. I love to keep it simple, limit this to something someone said, not something someone did, and
we always try to stay away from the partisan political
and
craps.
The long ones, if you'll pardon the expression.
Yeah, Herb is got the old itchy trigger finger.
Herb, yeah.
So
he's done it before.
Blind chauffeur will start us off on the score.
Hello, boys.
Hey, buddy.
This crap goes out to defensive lineman and Penn State alum Anthony Adams. Yesterday, Adams was asked how he felt about the coaching staff now. He said, "They taught me how to be a man. That's the Penn State way." Really, AA? What part of this case did the coaching staff teach someone how to be a man? Michael McQuarrie sees a boy being raped by Jerry Sandusky. So what does he do? He goes to daddy? Or was it Joe Pa kicking the information up the chain of command? And to make matters worse, this all happened years ago, and nobody did a damn thing until now to prevent Sandusky from preying on other victims. No, Anthony, that is the actions of a coward and an enabler. Being a man is to go into the shower, get the boy out, calling the police immediately, and kicking Sandusky's ass. To me, the most appalling thing is people like you continuing to support Joe and the university when you should be shunning everyone involved. Anthony Adams, Who You Crappin?
That's a good start.
Chauffeur angry today.
Here's one from Zombie Chris Henry that says, Matt Millen interviewed regarding the pedophilia scandal. Note, not sex, but pedophilia. Thank you for that. Somebody tell Channel 2. Says, Millen stated, "We think we know all the answers and the information. The fact is we don't." Very true, Matt. You have every right to reserve judgment until all the information's available, and asking the same of the viewing public is not unreasonable. So, was any more information available 2 minutes later during the same interview when you said of your former coach, he will fight on this one too? I know that guy too well, but it shouldn't tarnish him. There are so many more good things to come out of that program and out of that man. So Paterno's legacy shouldn't be tarnished no matter what information becomes available at a later date? This is the kind of logic one could expect from a meat-headed loser that was a disaster as a general manager, assembling the only NFL team to achieve the perfect 0-16 season. Yet through a special old boys network, that same kind of network that keeps scandals like this from surfacing, you're still forced on the football-watching public. And now I'm supposed to reserve judgment and wait for the facts, yet value your opinion on a coach that you used to play for and that you regard as some kind of father figure? Matt Millen, Who You Crappin? Government fromage on the score. Fromage?
Hello?
Phone problems.
Got
Get
him.
Back to him. And try Gary from Evanston. Hello, Gary.
Oh, hi, guys. I'm going to be serious today and get right to the point that on Tuesday, this week's Rome Was Burning forum guest Jeff Chadilla of Booyah.com actually made Jim Rome burn by implying that what Woody Hayes did at the end of his career was worse than Joe Paterno's enabling of Jerry Sandusky because Hayes, quote, punched the guy himself. while Paterno did not personally sodomize or molest these kids. And then if that weren't bad enough, Ditka told an incredulous Rome that Mike McCurry, quote, showed a lot of courage by reporting what he saw to Paterno. And then Ditka actually added that Sandusky may have, quote, been done with the act when McCurry came on the scene. Well, McCurry actually caught Sandusky in the act, and McCurry responded with cowardice, not courage. Jim Rome has been excellent on this issue, but I hope he never has this clown back on his show again after this week. Jeff Ditka, who are you crapping?
There he is.
Love that guy.
Yeah, he's special, man.
Isn't he?
He is really something. Yep, he is.
Marlon Brando's helper monkey says, Tuesday, while still a Penn State employee, the Methuselah of college football stood on his front lawn with several hundred misguided students. Rather than telling him to get off said lawn, he thanked the rabble for their support. He barely acknowledged the victims, and he said, it's a tough life when people do certain things to you. Really? Wow, well put. Certain things. Joe, that statement might apply when somebody gets laid off from a job or has their home foreclosed upon, is the victim of identity theft. But tough life and certain things are massive understatements here, almost as massive as your failings as a coach, boss, parent, grandparent, and university representative. How many of the young victims are irrevocably mentally damaged because of these certain things? How many suffer from debilitating depression or possibly suicidal, turn to alcohol or drugs because of what you enable that monster to do? How dare you be so dismissive of something that went on under your nose for a decade and was nothing less than a prolonged program of rape and torture? Joe, you're learning firsthand about life being tough when people do certain things to you. And by life, I mean your dotage. And by people doing things, I mean the Board of Trustees telling you to go the hell away. And what's great is you had the rug pulled out from under you. You tried to define the terms of your exit, and saner, better people said, no way. It's not the retirement you planned, but a retirement nonetheless. And if you want to pull an Andy Rooney and shuffle off this mortal coil a week after it takes place, that would be fine too. Joe Paterno, who you crapping? Let's try Government Fromage again on the score.
Sorry, my fat face hit the mute button. But before I begin, guys, this has been the best week of radio you guys have done since 9/11. And if I were Mitch, I'd be wondering why we only get one good week every 10 years.
Thank you, kind of.
Well, I think people do wonder about.
Yeah, well. This week's PS to Poo-Poo goes to English producers of terrible noise, more specifically Coldplay. Last week, the UK Novelty Act informed the world they would not be releasing their recent album, Milo Xyloto, on any internet music streaming services. Seems logical, as one would assume this is to help prevent piracy of their, what do they call it? Oh, music. However, that's not what the band said. They would like you to listen to the album as, quote, one cohesive work. That would be fine, except that you can most certainly purchase each track on the album separately via iTunes, and there's a little button on every CD player and MP3 player to skip tracks. Coldplay, just admit what we all know. You want people to pay for your hideous cacophony of bleh and not listen to your crap for free. 2 quick questions. You know how I know you're gay? And, ooh, who crappin'?
Thanks, Fromage. Bill in Arlington Heights says, I came across this blurb from one John J. McQuarrie, father of Mike McQuarrie, explaining his self-imposed silence regarding the incident in the locker room, saying, he'll make it. He's a tough kid.
Oh, man.
Mr. McQuarrie, 28 years old, currently 38, not a kid. And I don't care if he makes it. I'm more concerned about all the children before and since making it. And the fact that your son went to you and not the authorities shows an utter lack of responsibility as a human being and more of a self-preservation instinct than anything else. This is not It's a Wonderful Life when young George Bailey, confronted with the fact that a drunken Mr. Gower accidentally puts poison in a prescription bottle, ponders, what would Dad do? Indeed, what would Dad do? Apparently, sweep it under the carpet. At least George Bailey had the courage to not deliver the prescription. Your son lacked that courage. Tough kid? I think not. John McQuarrie, who you crapping?
Very nice.
That's what I hoped for. Dave in South Bend, you're on the score. Dave.
South side, not South Bend. But hey, listen, great job, and especially you on Twitter, Dan.
Oh, thank you, sir.
This crap goes out to Les Grobstein. 2 nights ago, a caller called up and said that Paterno is an enabler and should be charged with aiding and abetting. Grobstein's response was, no, that's not fair. That's like somebody killing someone and putting him in your trunk, and you don't know about it. Okay, that's a poor comparison, but if we want to roll with that, in this situation, somebody would have told you there was a dead body in your trunk. So you would have checked. You would not have gotten in your car and driven away. We all know what should have been done. Les, I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. When did you join the large majority of the stupid, And who are you crappin'?
Thanks, Dave. Here's one from Glenn. Joe Paterno, prior to getting ousted by the Board of Trustees for his moral acquiescence in the face of acts of child abuse, Paterno feigned the role of martyr, offering to resign at the end of the football season.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow he mustered up the nerve to claim he was doing this for the benefit of the board, stating, I want to make this as easy for them as I possibly can. Joe, if you want to make it easy, you would do two things. Resign immediately and immolate yourself. Throughout this entire sordid affair, your actions or lack of them have shown nothing but a blatant disregard for the welfare of others whenever it got in the way of your tenure. When in all likelihood you first became aware that your defensive coordinator was abusing little boys, your solution was to force his retirement, but allow him the run of your school's football facilities. When you later became aware that this person was still abusing children, you did the bare minimum to ensure compliance with the law, then merely prohibit him from bringing his victims on campus. If this person was still free to assault the bodies and psyches of young boys elsewhere, you apparently didn't care, so long as your job security wasn't threatened. Now all you can offer these poor victims is your prayers and the sanctimonious hope that they can lead full lives. If any of them do, Joe, it's despite you, not because of you. I hope you think it was worth it. All you have left now are sanitized memories, meaningless trophies, and the false pity directed at the old merely because they're old. I hope you realize your actions have made your career accomplishments as hollow as those trophies. Joe Paterno, you miserable, myopic old man, who are you crapping?
Lots of anger.
Tough one to get through.
Yeah.
John in Streamwood, you are on the score.
Hey, guys, love your suits.
Lovey Smith.
I'm very glad that everybody could get together and focus on this travesty, but I'm going to take it a different direction. This crap goes out to the Scorn's very, very own 85 meathead, Dan Hampton. When talking about the Bear D-line on Monday night's pregame, Anthony Adams was brought up. Zach described Adams as Mr. Twitter, to which Dan remarked, yeah, wonder why we have the 23rd ranked D in the league. Dan, first off, there's no we. You don't play anymore. Second, I know you're stuck in the dark ages of football being played on glorified carpet with power running formations and good white. You would have to be a crazy person to think that Adams' play is affected by the rate of which he tweets. He's not tweeting on the field or in practice, so what's it to you? Dan, please think before you speak. If you don't have a relevant thing to say about the Bears, please don't open your trap. Dan Hampton, who you crapping?
That's we're in the midst of Who Ya Crappin here on Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. We're inundated. We're going to try to get to as many as we can because it is our signature segment. So if you want to jump on in, come out, give it a shot. 312-644-6767. You've got Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. And this hour is brought to you by State Farm Insurance and by GoGo, the internet in the sky. Visit gogoair.com/Chicago for your chance to win a free in-flight internet flight pass.
And we continue with Mike on Who You Crappin' on the Score. Fire away, Mike.
Me? Mike?
Oh, it's Mike from Milwaukee?
Yeah.
All right, you got a crap?
Would you? Yeah, I got two crap.
No, pick one.
Oh, man, come on.
One, go.
The first crap's on Big Joe there. Paterno, you can't do that. And my second crap.
All right, Mike. Check in tomorrow with your picks.
From Bill Walton's Buck Teeth, who says Bill Curry, while offering some kind of defense for his dear friend Joe Pa, said, we're all guilty of not doing more to help someone at some point in our lives.
Oh, really?
Well, probably true. The equivocation in that statement is sickening. Sure, I could have pulled over to see if the person with the flat tire in the rain needed help, but I didn't. Notice I didn't say that when a subordinate called me and told me he saw a former assistant of mine molesting a 10-year-old boy in the shower, and then I told my boss who did nothing I should have called police to help prevent further abuse of countless innocent children. There's a chorus of others who echo this misguided, nobody's perfect sentiment. It's foolish. Bill, there's an order within the prison system. Child rapists on the bottom. Even convicted serial killers don't defend those people using, nobody's perfect.
Right.
They shank them. Once Joe Pa didn't do more, he may as well have molested the victims that followed himself. Why don't you get that? And who are you crapping?
Yeah, nicely done. I don't know if they don't get it, or I think mostly they don't want to.
Mr. Pouty Pants on the score.
Oh, Mr.
Hello,
Pouty Pants.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
This crap is for Hollywood pretty boy and bad actor Ashton Kutcher. Upon hearing of Joe Paterno's firing, Ashton posted on Twitter, "How do you fire Joe Pa? Insult, no class. As a Hawkeye fan, I find it in poor taste."
Oh.
Ashton later claimed to have no knowledge of Penn State's child molestation scandal and deleted the tweet. Now, Ashton, I know you're a very busy schedule of cheating on your wife, and jumping onto the tail end of a dying sitcom, so it must be hard for you to know about the nation's top story. But how about I tell you what I think is an insult, shows no class, and is in poor taste. A dumbass celebrity who claims to be a huge sports fan jumping onto Twitter to comment on a football coach being fired in the midst of a mass child rape cover-up, then realizes he's made a complete ass of himself, deletes the tweet, and turns his account over to a PR department to clean up his mess. Ashton Kutcher, who you crappin'?
Nice. Thank you, Mr. Pouty Pants. This is from Uncle Goldberg, who begins with this quote to a graduating class at Penn State. "It is you who will make the organization work for you, and you who will become victims of this system if you fail to execute your responsibilities to yourself and your fellow human beings. You have a part to play, and if you loaf or quit, don't sit back and complain that our method is no good. The system, the organization, the method, the government, they are you." That was delivered by Joe Paterno. For a man of such alleged integrity towards other human beings to simply slough off his responsibility in the current case as doing what he legally had to do is perhaps the largest form of hypocrisy. The fact that he had a chance to be responsible to other human beings, ones that needed help the most, and he chose to do what was legally obligated, that is his system. My disgust for this man is only shadowed by the disgust I have for Jerry Sandusky and the 1,000+ sheep that occupy the lawn at Paterno's house Tuesday night. So much else can be and has been said about what should have been done, but there's no need to mention it. Joe Paterno, who you crappin'? Next up is John calling from the car on the score. Hey, John.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
On a slightly lighter note, this crap goes out to Brian Hanley, who on Tuesday's morning show, in an attempt to personalize the ramifications for Penn State, began by saying, "Now, if you have a son, if it was your son, or if you don't have a son, if it was your nephew or grandson." Well, Brian, I'm not an expert in biology, but if I don't have a son, I probably don't have a grandson. Brian Hanley, who you crappin'?
Well, have a daughter.
Here's one that fits the theme from an odd direction. It's from the Sultan of Guilt, and this goes out to China.
China.
For the past several weeks, Chinese officials and even China's government-controlled news outlets have been engaged in an uncharacteristically candid exercise in national soul-searching. In October, when a 2-year-old girl in southern China was run over by a hit-and-run driver and was left to bleed to death in the street while passersby did nothing. Just this week, a 5-year-old boy from Shandong province was injured when playing near a construction site and later died after bystanders, including local police, ignored his mother's pleas for help. Since then, the Chinese media have been asking, how is it possible? What is it about China's culture that would allow seemingly normal adults, even the authorities, to ignore a child who's in danger? They blame it on China's newfound materialism. Others say it's an outgrowth of the brutality of the Cultural Revolution. Well, this week we learned of another remote, mysterious, inscrutable world called Happy Valley. It, too, is an isolated region cut off from the rest of civilization, governed for decades by a small cadre of rulers. And there as well, adults in positions of authority did absolutely nothing for years, even though they knew that young children were at risk. Just as Chinese passerby ignored cries for help, many people in this province called Pennsylvania similarly closed their eyes and ears to the suffering of children in their midst, figuratively, and who knows, perhaps even literally, stepping over these victims so they could go about their daily lives, holding on to power and privilege. So China and the government of President Hu Jintao, your introspection is laudable, but misplaced. The crass exploitation of kids knows no national boundaries. And until you realize that, President Who are you crappin'? Creative.
Yeah.
Mike in Louisville, you're on the score.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
My crap goes out to Mike Mulligan, who on this morning's radio show said that this weekend's Penn State-Nebraska football game had national championship implications. Mike Mulligan, what national championship are you talking about? And who are you crapping?
Did you really?
There's one from Alex Snellius in loving memory of Ursula.
Oh.
Quotes Joe Paterno. Right now, I'm not the football coach, and I've got to get used to that. After 61 years, I've got to get used to it. Let me think it through. This was Paterno's immediate reaction after being fired. You're right, Joe. The drastic, jarring transition from your old life to the new will take some getting used to. You'll have to get used to the absence of your game day duties. No longer being on the sidelines, no longer wearing the Penn State headset, directing the play on the field. Being isolated from the action with no influence over the outcome, I imagine it'll feel like you're watching games from some kind of glass box high above the field. And in the absence of your locker room duties, no longer being able to make charismatic, articulate, coherent speeches to inspire your players, the absence of your media duties, no longer being able to listen intently to tough questions and respond with relevant, articulate, coherent answers, and the absence of your leadership duties, no longer being a resource of moral guidance for players and staff, making tough ethical decisions that come with leading large groups of men on a yearly basis, being the one Penn State leader who can say the buck stops here. I imagine the absence of this duty might initially make you feel like you're skirting your responsibilities and deferring decisions rightfully yours to make. Joe, you haven't been the football coach for a decade. You don't have to get used to anything. Draw up plays for your ottoman and sit on your couch instead of the press box. You won't know the damn difference. Joe Paterno, who you crappin'?
Wow. Hello, how you doing? Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, old-timer?
Hey there. All right.
Here's something for you.
Check your manometer, sir.
My
and your
manometer
head.
is, oh, man, it's ready to burst. And it stayed a little local this week. It didn't like to get out. It was too cold.
Mantino?
Mantino.
I got it. And here to close out, who you crappin'? Nobody does it like Quad City's Pat on the score.
Hello, boys.
Hello, QCP.
I had to call my dad before I could make this crap, so just so you know what's going on. This crap goes out to orange-hued asshat Mike Ditka. This week, in response to the Penn State child rape scandal, he defended Joe Paterno by saying, sometimes good men are brought down by stupid people doing bad things. But hey, that's the media for you. Really, Mike, the media? This isn't Terry asking about your fire. This isn't New Orleans media calling for your ouster. This is a cover-up of a crime so heinous it even shocked me. Joe Paterno is no victim. He's the kind of man who turned a blind eye to child rape, and if you can't see who the real victims are, then maybe you're that kind of man too. Mike Ditka, who are you crapping?
You make us wonder with the things you say.
Hey, buddy.
Maybe you were having an off day. You must have thought that we were napping. Hey, buddy. Who you crapping?
Nicely done,
That's
kid.
awesome.